Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian, where's the good stuff?
The good stuff is apparently in a hotel room in Las Vegas. That's certainly where Tom Merritt is.
Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, I'm here for the Morning Stream's big event that they put on every year. Brian Ibbett and Scott Johnson host TMS Vegas. They do a live version of their show. That'll happen on Wednesday. Yeah, I'm here for the whole shebang. So I'm doing Cordkillers from a good old-fashioned hotel room.
Well, you sound fantastic. It must be the mic stand.
I bet brand new mic stand. Yeah, this is an Elgato mic stand that has a nice weighty base. Well, the microphone also has weighted base, but the mic stand has a weighted base that's not too heavy. So I had a weighted base on a mic stand before that was kind of too heavy to carry around in baggage. This one is better, and then it's got a nice little arm, so you can just float it in front of you without having to put your laptop up on an ice bucket and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it works out great.
Right on.
Shall we get to the supply run?
Yeah, I suppose.
It's not about mic stand.
Supply run.
YouTube can drink in some countries. It's 20 years old, turned 20 years old on Wednesday, and announced some new features coming in the next several months. 4X playback is rolling out to YouTube Premium subscribers on mobile. YouTube TV, that's not YouTube, that's the cable service, where you watch TV shows live. YouTube TV will let users do side-by-side viewing of non-sports channels in the coming weeks. You could already do it with sports channels, but now you could do it with other channels, and get multi-view like you can do with sports channels for non-sports channels in the coming months. Paying premium and music customers get Ask Music, which lets you describe the music you want to hear. By the way, we're back in YouTube and YouTube Music, not YouTube TV. It's very confusing. Ask Music lets you describe the music you want to hear and get a playlist. That will be available in Android and iOS for English later this summer. The YouTube app for your television, so not YouTube TV, but YouTube, but on your TV.
For your TV, right.
Is getting a redesign. They say it'll have easier navigation, better playback, some quality tweaks, and also streamlined access to comments, channel info, and subscribing, which are there right now, but you got to dig around a little more for them. The controls are going to move under the seek bar, so you won't have that thing where you're trying to hop above the seek bar and you actually accidentally flip forward. Everything's going to be under the seek bar, and the controls for playback will move to the right underneath. Title and other details move to the upper left, so they won't be hovering above the play bar covering the bottom of the screen. They'll be in the upper left. And finally, creators will get the ability to leave voice comments as a reply to your text comment later this year, should they so desire. A couple of things to talk about here, Brian. Obviously, the new features coming. We probably have opinions about that. And then we'll just get into YouTube being 20 years old.
Have you run into the voice comments in the wild at all?
No, that one hasn't launched yet. So that'll be coming later this year. I was curious if you had a immediate idea of how you would use that as a creator.
I mean, to be honest, increasingly, we'll do a very short hop into Galaxy Brain, Brian. Increasingly, and I think we've seen this with Cordkillers, what we get out of our podcast is essentially the brand of a show becomes a lens through which to see the world. Like input comes in and it goes through, think of a prism of we'll call it a character diamond, and then content comes out. And that's what we do with Cordkillers. We just have the news feed come in. And one of the things that we value the most is the input from the emails. And even more than that, we love the voicemails or whatever. So I think what naturally and organically happened with us on Cordkillers out here in the wild is being systematized for YouTube, because content creators, number one thing that content creators bemoan is the fact that they get fried because they don't know what to do next. And so just like YouTube handled all the heavy lifting on content ID and with bandwidth and with codecs and with the infrastructure stuff, just like it handled with the platform and the algorithm matching the right content to the right people, now you're starting to see it in little ways, like with the AI generated idea brainstorming thing. The more valuable part is the listen, here's what your audience is watching. Maybe take a look at that and consider who your audience is and let that inform what you want to make. And then now your audience is directly, they're not going to call it providing content for you, but in a world where YouTube drama spins up, where counterpoint opinions are interesting and starting a dialogue with your fans, they're structurally enabling creators to just essentially be themselves and let things happen to them, and then let them react earnestly and honestly. And I think it's a solid idea.
Yeah, there is a difference between writing something and the cliche now, and it's still true, is that we all tend to read written communications in the angriest, most negative possible light. It's
my God.
just the way our brains work. And so if you can respond with a voicemail or a voice recording, then as the creator, you're going to be able to sound like, hey, I'm not mad at you, but let me explain, what the deal. And people will hear that in your voice and go like, oh, okay, no, it does make it easier for folks to understand what you're saying. Will people take the time to play it is a question. I think younger people absolutely will, because more people communicate with voice memos than text over SMS these days. So that's kind of natural. Older viewers may or may not. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, there's a couple. Economist Richard Thaler won a Nobel Prize for economics with he wrote for creating the nudge unit, and basically little nudges in structure and design. For example, let's say organ donation. If it's opt in or opt out, you save human lives by designing a system that's opt out on your forms and so on. Or the motor voter bill enabled people to register to vote when they organically were already going to the DMV and so on. Those little nudges have a huge, huge impact. And so, number one, in fact, that instant, that gestalt of like context and everything. First of all, remember, that's what our human brains are built to instantly process, with micro expressions, with body posture, with context of setting and all that stuff. That's why a step farther than that voice memo thing, I've started just recording videos and sending them over text to everyone.
That's a really good point, because people are doing that a lot on TikTok, Snap, Instagram Reels, where they'll respond to questions from the audience that are written comments on their previous video, but like, hey, a bunch of you are asking this, let me explain it, instead of repeating it endless times in the comments. And that works. People like it.
Yes, and it gets ideally. So every creator I've ever known, in all the different hats I've worn, has said the same thing. Oh, I'm so good at the thing that is creating. I just need a imaginary person to handle the business stuff. Essentially, that's what YouTube is doing, and it's allowing that what was a wonderful fantasy of like, oh, I just got to find an agent to get me booked and everything. They're doing it.
I just had a totally unrelated thought.
But this is the place for it.
But I know you'd understand. What if, okay, so I was just having that exact conversation with somebody named Scott, last name initial J, downstairs, right? And talking about, how like there are the things we enjoy doing, and then there's the things we have to do. And we're like, wouldn't it be great if we found it would be easier to find the people who enjoy doing the things we don't like doing, right? There are people who really enjoy the logistics and like, oh man, I love I'm not creative. I can't come up with the ideas, but I love planning out the logistics and how it goes. What if the reason we can't find those people and connect as easily is they're all getting jobs as highly paid accountants, and AI makes that go away, and now they're available for us to pay them?
Yeah, I would skip the middle step. I was thinking, I think you'll be able to, I think this will not sound like too hard of a left turn for you.
Okay.
This is how we become Borg and like it, is that imagine everyone's got a thing that you do, right? Let's take that accountant or whatever. Like, you like you like making decisions and solving problems. We all do. Essentially, what we're all doing is we're creating order from chaos, whether it's westward expansion, manifest destiny, whether it's being a pioneer in the early days or part of the corporate ladder. Messy emails come in, you sort them out. And like, that's what all humans like to do. Now, we all have little dopamine buttons that make it do it better. And AI, our brains don't know the difference between actual outside thought and, whether it's positive self-talk or reinforcement from other people, or as we've seen recently this past week, OpenAI was catching some guff for all the glazing that it's been doing.
You're exactly right, Brian.
Oh, no. I'm not just right. I'm a revolutionary. I have flipped the world.
I'm not nearly
down.
as good at glazing as OpenAI's ChatGPT was this past week.
But essentially, I think that's what, imagine everyone out there has some kind of gig they're doing, some kind of job. Imagine if there were people or you heard voices cheering for you every time you did everything. And that's kind of what we're headed towards. And we're not going to think of it this way, but we're all serving the collective while maintaining our individual complete liberties and autonomy. Or at least, but just incentives will be aligned.
I still think there are people who are like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I could never come up with the ideas for the modern rogue that Brian does. I would never have the ability to go on camera and do that. And I know it's tempting to go like, sure, you could. And the fact is, yes, anybody can do it, but they won't enjoy it as much, right? It's not their thing. But they're like, what I love is spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. I love formulas. I love what Brian might consider tedious is my jam. And what the internet did was allow us to connect on our subcultures and our niches. But I feel like we don't connect on those things as much because that person who's pushing the spreadsheet, I made a joke about being an overpaid accountant, but they have a day job and they're like, I hate the corporateness of it, but I love the minutia. I love the manipulation. That's my thing. But, I can't do that for other people because I got a day job. Well, what if AI made that day job less onerous and gave you more time to do other things, and those other things are like helping Brian out, or whatever it is, right? You helping me out, Brian out, whatever. That's kind of where my head was at with that. We've strayed so far from YouTube right now.
Oh, no. I was about to say, it is a rare and wonderful event to see Brian go Galaxy Brain and be like, hang on, let me get in my spaceship. I'm going to head on out and join you.
Yeah. No, but I think there's something to that, like there's some connections yet to be made, that we need we need technology to remove the impediments sometimes. I think that's kind of what we're both saying in different ways. Yeah. And YouTube, to get back to YouTube, does a lot of those things. It is technology that removes some of those impediments. It's like, oh, you don't like setting up a store? Well, let's integrate a store into your YouTube channel for you. Oh, you don't like doing this? Well, let's crunch the analysis and just tell you what the good stuff is. Like that stuff's getting better and better. It is crazy to think that YouTube has become that thing over 20 years when it was started as every good technology has been as a dating service.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. They wanted a way to share videos so that you could do matchmaking. And then it just took off from there because they realized, people want ways to share videos for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this much. I'm 8 months into really deeply studying the YouTube backend, and I've said it before, it is a masterclass of design in the analytics. Like, if you just want to see number go up, that's what you can see. If you want to poke around and try to understand why number go up, then it's got tools for you. And then you find yourself more and more layers down. And the more laps you take, and at this point, I've launched over 1,000 videos just in the last 8 months, all these shorts and stuff, and your brain can't help but remap it. Every time there's a launch, there's predictable behaviors, and you can tell something's not right, and so you change the title, and suddenly number go up for individual video. It's really fascinating, and I know no one person designed it, just like there's no one YouTube algorithm that's very good, but there's a consensus that seems to be a best fit with, all of humanity. It's really insane.
Yeah. It's also interesting to see that YouTube has become, in my opinion, the potential future of Google, because while all the headlines around Google are fighting antitrust, and that's going to go and drag on for a long time, so we really don't know where that's going to end up, but usually antitrust cases end up solving problems that have already solved themselves during the process and not being as harsh as they sounded in the first beginnings of the case. So let's assume that's going to be true. Google's future is, advertising is becoming an entirely different proposition than it was when we could just dominate the world with search. So we need to catch up with Gemini and other ways to get people's attention. We need to build up subscriptions like with Google Cloud and with music and things. You look at YouTube and they're like, hey, we have no advertising problem on YouTube because you know what? People watch videos and then advertising goes on them. Oh, subscriptions? Yeah, we have one of the most successful subscription businesses around. So it really is, to me, shaping up to be the future of television. If anything, I would be shocked if there wasn't a way to get into, the world of YouTube later with antitrust because they are so dominant.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, people can change their mind and become fickle to the extent that there's no friction to make the change. We saw that with, Vine. Everybody loved Vine. Then the Twitter bought it and ruined it, killed it. And then there was a gap, an open niche waiting to be occupied. And so lacking anything else, some people went to Musical.ly, and then TikTok bought Musical.ly, and then it became TikTok. And because it was relatively frictionless to just install an app, everybody jumped right over. Now, that's partly from a design perspective, that's partly in thanks to the design app store of Android and Apple. But certainly YouTube is the one to beat. And so long as they continue to be excellent, it's kind of like Disney. It's like, all things being equal, Disney has yet to be unseated as the reliable place to go have a magical experience with your family.
Yeah. I think I would like to know more about what people in the audience think, what people listening think about YouTube as their future. Do you see yourself continuing to watch more YouTube? Like, think about the past 5 years, 10 years. Or do you think you see yourself watching less YouTube?
Cordkillers@gmail.com.
All right.
And I was going to say, if you really want us to hear you, then head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. That's where you keep us loud, live, and independent. That's where you get to all of the deep insights, and you also keep the lights on. And now there are more lights. I don't know if you've noticed, but our
your lighting is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. Don't forget, at the very least, you get early access to the full experience, and you get exclusive access and the home of spoilerin' time in After Talk.
Indeed. Let's move on to the search party. Netflix released a trailer for the next season of Wednesday, the Addams Family spinoff. The first episodes arrive on August 6th and the second batch on September 3rd.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. Classic, if overused bit. Person goes through security, removes 75 items.
Obviously, we're going to get more trailers as we go along. Did you watch the first season of Wednesday?
No, it never hit the tipping point. We've talked about this before, but seems to be a bit of a societal change with all the excellent TV out there. Like, when seasons of stuff come out, it's like a book, and you get around to it when the human nodes around you say they're currently, when you hear 2 or 3 times from other people that it's good and you should dive in, then it's like, I'll get around to it. And this one never hit that tipping point for me. What about you?
Yeah, I watched it, and I was a little late to it, but once I got going, I was like, oh, you know what? I really like Jenna Ortega. Like, her portrayal carries this for me, and the story is good enough that I got sucked in and I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, and it looks like we are getting more of that portrayal of Wednesday. So I'm into that. Showtime announced on Friday, July 11th will be the premiere of Dexter Resurrection. I'm sorry, they didn't announce it on Friday. They announced that Friday, July 11th, will be the premiere of Dexter Resurrection. It is a follow-on series to Dexter. It will debut with 2 episodes streaming on Paramount Plus, with Showtime subscribers getting it on July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time if you're watching that on cable. And then every episode after that will drop weekly. How much do you know about where Dexter last left off?
I know that it had a very, very much universally considered to be very bad finale. And it seemed like I did watch the first few episodes.
And then they came back and they did another follow-on series after that. Do you remember that?
No, yes, somebody can find a clip of us talking about it on Cordkillers, but that is no longer still in RAM.
So that was trying to fix the finale, and people felt like, oh, okay, so you fixed the finale, cool, good for you. So I think we're done now. And if you really don't want to be spoiled at all, by all means, please don't listen to what I'm saying now. But Dexter gets shot at the end of the last series, and the implication is
so
that
it's like,
there is no more
what
Dexter.
else would people hate?
Yeah. And the teaser for Dexter Resurrection is Dexter holding a newspaper that says he's dead and smirking at the camera. So there you go.
I'm gonna plant my flag. He's a ghost now. It's like the Dresden Files. Spoiler.
No. They actually spoiled it in the article I read, and I won't say any more for those who don't want to be spoiled at all. But it starts with not him as a ghost.
Okay.
Yeah. At least that's what they say. So anyway, and it's not even unusual for us to have like streaming first followed by cable premieres anymore. I feel like that's the norm. If anything, it would be weird if they weren't doing a dual thing like that. There's a trailer out for Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It is the 3rd movie in the Magician-Heist series that stars Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Dave Franco, and Isla Fisher. They have made 2 movies in the past, over the past like 12 years. They've made 2 movies. Mark Ruffalo was in the 2nd movie, and he'll be returning as well as Morgan Freeman. This is all about magicians performing heists, Brian. And I was curious if you even were aware of this series of movies, because it had fallen off my radar.
As a matter of fact, I actually, disclosure, I got paid some money by Lionsgate to make a promo for Now You See Me, the original when it came out. And while I never saw any of the movies, the first one looked at least somewhat tethered to reality. From what I was able to glean from this trailer, Tom, this looks like a fantasy show themed around my workplace, which is not interesting.
No, because you live it every day. Yeah. I can imagine. It also seems like if there's anybody that follows these movies, it also seems like they're trying to hand the torch over so that maybe they can have a younger cast take over and do future movies. Because some of these folks are getting up there.
Because Woody Harrelson is an animatronic skeleton.
That's another way of putting the same thing. Yep.
Sorry.
No, that's fair. Especially in this trailer. I've seen him act with more alacrity in other trailers. So maybe that was how he's directed. Like, you need to be an animatronic skeleton. That's the character. I don't know. But yeah, it's clear that they see a future for this franchise, possibly, if they can introduce these characters. So anyway, Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It has a trailer coming to theaters near you. Netflix's Tudum, not Tudum, Tudum event will stream live from the Kia
I don't know.
Forum.
Is Tudum any better? Doom is the end of the world. At least dumb is a self-deprecating, like, oh, you know me, Tudum.
Netflix is a joke, but not Tudum.
Yeah, right?
Well, I think it's less about that and more about like, no, the sound is tudum, which it is, right? It's not tudum, it's tudum.
Oh, yeah.
But it feels a little precious to me. Anyway, they're going to stream live from the Kia Forum in Los Angeles on May 31st. So we can expect to hear more about Happy Gilmore 2, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. Guillermo del Toro has a Frankenstein movie. They're also going to tell us about new seasons of One Piece, Squid Game, Stranger Things. And I could go buy a ticket The tickets go on sale on May 9th and sit in the forum, which holds around 17,500 people. So they expect that they could sell 17,500 tickets to watch Tudum live in Los Angeles. I can't tell if that's hubris or if I'm just like, wow, Netflix got a more rabid following than I thought. Selling tickets is one thing. Like, it's not, hey, we'll have a lottery and Netflix users can freely come. No, you have to buy them, first of all, and it's not at a small, like, 3,000 person venue. It's a big venue where, Harry Styles plays concerts.
Yeah, I'm going to bet money on this. I would bet money that they are directly one-for-one modeling the iHeartRadio events. So iHeart Music, iHeart Music was a festival that had just an obscenely astonishing lineup. Lady Gaga doing 15 minutes, followed by the Black Eyed Peas, followed by. And when you see it, you're like, there's no possible way. And I was actually in Las Vegas working the event for some corporate thing. I was working their booth. And I'm like, what is this? How on earth did they get this lineup? A one-day event with where all of the lineups of all the Lollapaloozas would be just 2 hours of it? I don't understand. And then being there, that rhythm of every 15 minutes, another mega all-star, it clicked in my head, oh, this is the NACA conferences. This is the college meat market. And then I realized, oh, wait, who runs iHeart Music? Clear Channel, now rebranded iHeart Music or iHeart Radio or whatever. This is all megastars bending the knee. And then the event made sense. Like, this is promotion for them to push the app so that they could consolidate all the fan base through this one experience. And then everything made sense. So likewise, now that's from the outside working my way in to figure out what's going on. From the inside working my way out, they announced that event and what kind of things would cause 17,000 people to show up. Everyone's going to come bend the knee to Netflix. And in fact, I'm going to say maybe it's worth it if you're the kind of person, if there's a Netflix thing you like, buy a seat before they make announcements, because it's going to be nothing but a steady drumbeat of announcements. And you could probably get
to drive those ticket sales.
Exactly,
they'll see how many people will just come because, and then they'll be like, also, Jenna Ortega will show up and juggle thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That feels
they'll
right.
do a live, they'll do that John Mulaney show live. They'll do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And to your point, the iHeart music festivals are always at the Forum when they have them in Los Angeles. So this is one for one to your analogy.
Galaxy Brian's right sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Finally, Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, which is the anime series, the next version of that anime series coming in the Star Wars universe to Disney Plus, will be available to watch in Fortnite 2 full days before the show starts streaming on Disney Plus. May 2nd, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can watch it in Fortnite.
Man, that's it's, let me tell you a totally unrelated story, Tom.
Sure.
Sometimes people, are part of an underground scene, whether it's techno music or hip hop or whatever, and then they get a place, and then they got rent and bills to pay. And in the early days, I'm looking at you, Studio 54. It's just hopping. Everyone's there, and it's the place to be. But then you have like infrastructure, and all of a sudden, dopamine only runs for so long, and then there's something else shiny. And then part of the appeal of that scene is all the people who are there. So then you start doing events trying to get people back into the place. Anyway, Fortnite.
It is also back on the Star Wars story. It is also smart. Everybody's doing this. People who don't need the help as much, like Marshmallow and stuff, are able to go in and get stuff out of Fortnite. So it is associated with Fortnite users, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Cordkillers@gmail.com, with like, oh, this is a valuable franchise because Fortnite let them in. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Well, folks, Buried Treasure is usually just Brian and I talking about different things we watch that we think you should watch. But this week, we have the same thing. So it's like a double recommendation. Speaking of Star Wars, for Andor.
Yeah. So both of us, Tom, had kind of abnormally busy weeks. In your case, you're off in the sin capital of the planet, Las Vegas. But in my case,
though? It's really just overpriced parking now. That's anyway. That's a separate.
You're
topic.
ruining. Don't turn on the fluorescence at the stripper club, Tom. What are you doing?
sorry. Yes, here I am in Las Vegas.
Meanwhile, I've had the incredible task of trying to move 150 terabytes to the cloud in just 7 days. So I've been, fantasy baseball, people go to fantasy baseball camps. I'm in fantasy regional IT manager camp where I recruited all my friends to be nodes. But my one treat to myself right before I went to bed is like, and nobody wants to watch Andor in my family, so I'm going to watch Andor. And I watch the first 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then I fall asleep. And then it's like the next night, man, I'm going to watch. You know what? That first 15 minutes is pretty good. Tom, I'm on my third lap of watching the first 15 minutes of Andor. It's a fine first 15 minutes. I look forward to watching it again.
So you're not trying to say you fell asleep because of Andor.
I just ran out of time.
Despite Andor, right? Like Andor kept you awake 15 more minutes than you would have otherwise.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was like the budget had run out. It was time to go to bed. I'm like, maybe more time next time. But at this point, I'm now at the level of analyzing the set design on that TIE fighter that he stole and the subversion of tropes. Like, why do they act like everyone just knows how to fly these things? And it was great.
That is one of the things that Andor did really well in the first season and continues to do, is acknowledge, hey, sometimes these silly things in Star Wars that, were overlooked because it was so new back in 1977. We should deal with that. We should shine a light on it and have fun with it. And I think they do. I found these episodes to be simultaneously captivating and also not long in the sense of like, gosh, I wish it would go somewhere, but long in the sense of I kind of feel like I know where they're going, but I don't know if I'm right. Please get there next soon. And they eventually do. One thing that did happen to me at the end of episode 2, it was very late at night and my eyes were closing every once in a while, but I didn't want to stop watching because I was enjoying it. And all of a sudden the credits rolled and I was like, I think I should go back and see what was happening right before the credits because I'm not sure I saw it. And I went back and looked and I was like, yep, very glad that I rolled back and looked at the thing that was silently on the screen that even with my eyes closed, I wouldn't have known what it was. So I hope that's not too much of a tip off for you, but pay attention to the visuals at the end of episode 2.
Okay, well, the big thing that I'm hearing is, yes, it rewards your full attention.
Yes, I think so. And I don't think that's any surprise, but yes, it has a lot going on and probably rewatching the 15 minutes, you're probably going to appreciate the next 15 minutes more than I did, where I only watched the first 15 minutes the one time.
Right on.
Yeah. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. We usually take this time in the show to tell you about one of the projects that Brian or I have going on. And this time, it's the same project, right, Brian?
Yeah. Forgive us as this topspin on the project. We're breaking news, Tom. For anybody watching this live or listening on the podcast, you're the first ones to know. Some of you guys know that I've always been fiercely independent, and I love helping other people be fully independent. Tom, you had a full-time gig, and then you had kind of a crossroads, and I sort of bullied you into going independent. I what I wanted to support you.
You always
in
tell
your
this story very differently than I
Of course, because everybody's the hero of their own story, right? I saved in my story. I saved you.
I valiantly was going independent, and Brian was carrying my. No, it's not even.
That's exactly how humans work.
What I would say is when I had to go independent. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is what I should do. Brian, you were very incremental in assuring me that, yes, that is the right way. And let me help you with some pointers along the way. And I'll always be incredibly grateful to you for that.
Yeah. Point is, I really love helping people go independent or be independent, or if they've got a side hustle, grow it into things. And after a lot of laps, I have a really polished 2-day workshop on this stuff, and it's fun and it's funny. I've done it before. 2 years ago, I did it with I don't know. We had like 30 people. We did a smaller one a year and change ago. But a little bit of figuring out what everyone's got a thing, and I'm pretty good at helping people grow their things, capture attention, and make some money off of it. Right. So. This year is going to be the most polished version of it ever. It's a 2.5-day workshop, and finally get to the point here. Tom's going to come out and join us.
That's right.
If you want to come out and experience the Crowded Barrel Distillery with us, if you want to be there for the whole behind the scenes, how to create an independent property of any variety, how to grow your business if you have a business, how to grow your reputation if you're in a corporate structure, and a workshop with actionable concrete steps, how to do all this stuff. And by the way, since Tom will be out there, hang out and experience a Cordkillers live with us. That's coming up at the end of June. I think it's the weekend that starts June 27th. Matt Donnelly, who also is an independent, who's built a career as a magician in real time in public, is also going to be there. It's going to be an extraordinary event. It's a little bit hard to find because I haven't put it on the front page of the website yet of Scam Stuff. But if you go to Scam Stuff and just search for weird, I think it's called like do your weird thing or something. Like it has a deliberately obtuse name because we wanted to kind of roll it out by word of mouth first. Ideally, I would like to not advertise it at all. But here, let me double check. If you go to Scam Stuff and type the word weird, you're going to see a picture of me and Matt Donnelly holding goats. And so that's the workshop. It's 2.5 days with us, $900. That's what I paid for a workshop when I was 19 years old. No, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So for 2.5 days of an intensive thing, it's going to be super, super worth it. You're going to come to Mono Rogue headquarters. There'll be classes, a lot of visiting. And this is my little nod to, if I'm going to do a Tony Robbins-esque thing, enough people have asked me, man, I would go if only I could learn to eat fire from Brian Brushwood. So screw it. Yes, I'm also going to teach you to eat fire. Tom, do you want to learn to eat fire?
Yeah, I've seen you do it before right in front of me, and I've never experienced it myself. So that would be fantastic.
Yep. Well, you're going to eat fire, and anybody who comes to the 2.5-day classes, just search for the word weird and click on the two weirdos holding a goat and know that Tom's going to be there as well. It's going to be an extraordinary and intimate and look, 2.5 days with anyone, you can't help but experience them as a real person. And I think you guys are really, really going to like it. This is stuff that is like 10 years of polish on it. You're going to dig it a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, I know some of you have been like, I'd love to come to TMS Vegas, but I can't get out there. Or, Tom, you were at this thing and I couldn't get there. Like, I don't live in Japan. Thanks a lot. Well, here you go. Austin, Texas, center of the country. A lot of you live in driving distance, and even if you don't, it's a short hop. So you're not only going to get to hang out and get more concentrated attention than at a bigger event, but also take advantage of our experience, for whatever you've got going on. So I don't think you should turn this down if you could all do it.
Yes. And again, make no promises about us ever being able to do this again. All I know is that the schedule's lined up and the time's right this time. Also, we'll be celebrating Tom's birthday. So why don't you come out? What is it? 29 finally?
Finally.
Tom's birthday. Come on out and be there for Tom's birthday. And also hear how we think, hear the behind the scenes hot goss on how Cordkillers came to be. Be there for a live recording of it.
We won't be able to not talk about all that stuff.
Yeah,
you'll be able to ask us whatever you want.
When you have a buy-in, then we get to complete. Like please. I mean, please don't come for the gossip, but there will be hot gossip. We're going to be very honest and direct. That's what the event is. I've never been. Well, I don't know. I guess I have. The Cordkillers experience, Tom, is very, very precious to me. It is a flavor of my life I never expected to get to experience. And I'm very thankful for the journey that we've done together. And the idea of sharing a slice of that for people to take home and experience in their own lives is very precious to me. It's going to be really great.
Yeah. So again, remind people how do they find this? They're
go
like,
to
yes,
the
okay,
perfectly
you
legit. Yeah. Go to the perfectly legitimate sounding website Scam Stuff. Type in the totally rational workshop and how to be an independent thing. Type in the word weird and then click on the Do Your Weird Thing with Brian and Matt, which is also Tom, because I haven't updated the page yet.
Yeah. Or eventually
and sign up.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, folks, do it now while we scan the horizon.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Starting with the 5th season of the series You, Netflix users will be able to choose to see only spoken dialogue in subtitles rather than both dialogue and audio cues. So right now, if you're watching something in its original language, there's no subtitles. Right? Subtitles are for oh, this is in Korean, let's give you the English. If you're watching it in English, you get closed captions. Closed captions often have things like ringing bell, door slam, stuff like that. And if you're I actually would like subtitles that don't have that stuff, well, you'll be able to choose that starting with the 5th season of You. Only available in English for now and will roll out to all new Netflix originals as they come out.
Yeah, so this is a case where this level of fine detail is, I would say, entirely attributable to LLMs, right? They make possible something that would not be profitable to do, a level of polish on there that you can't. And so for now, again, forgive my proclivity for making predictions. For now, it'll be just dialogue only instead of standard closed captioning. Next up will be kind of TikTok style speech bubbles popping up, where it's different colors for different speakers. And eventually I can see a nudge where it's only ambiguous phrases that you might otherwise miss. It's going to increasingly...
They'll be more customizable in the future. But right now, people are it's not that I can't hear the audio, it's that I'm not paying attention, right? I'm doing something else and I'm able to follow better if those subtitles are up there. But the ringing bell and stuff like that, I don't need to hear that. I don't need to see that. It gets in the way. And so
also there are times that those sound effects can be a spoiler. Like you hear a voice and it says what character's voice it is, or there's a certain red wedding about to happen and it foreshadows by the naming which song the band is randomly playing.
Comcast reported earnings last week. Peacock revenue rose 16%. Subscribers rose to 41 million from 36 million last quarter. So Peacock making more money and getting more subscribers. And it doesn't even have an Olympics or anything to rely on. So that's good news for Comcast. Company also lost broadband customers, down 183,000 to 29.32 million. So still a big number of broadband customers, but we always thought, broadband will go up and TV will go down. Well, TV did go down. TV customers fell 427,000. Comcast only has 12.1 million TV subscribers now, but losing broadband as it becomes more and more options, including people just wanting to use their phone for their internet, and cellular companies providing home broadband and all of that. So we are back in a world of some competitiveness in the U.S. with internet.
Yeah, I don't know that it was justified, but I had really been counting Peacock out. I didn't expect them to thrive as much as they have, and that's probably unfair. But
thrive might also be overstating it. But they're not dying, right? They're growing, which is what they want to see. And Comcast really does believe that is the future of things. They are moving the deck chairs. They are spinning out Nuco because they have confidence in Peacock. So I guess that confidence is warranted.
Mm-hmm.
Roku released 2 new streaming sticks. The Roku streaming stick is $30, and the streaming stick plus, which has 4K, is $40. New Roku TV models now have better picture and sound, include Bluetooth streaming for headphones, and they've got a bigger model now. The Roku TVs can go up to 85 inches. Roku also introduced a reference design for a projector. There are projectors with Roku, but Roku has never really supported that, and now they do. So they're encouraging manufacturers to make projectors with the Roku OS, and they've made some tweaks to the Roku OS to work better on projectors. Company also launched 2 new security cameras as well.
Yeah, I think it's been about 6 months since I called you, Tom, and from that Best Buy saying, I don't believe in sticks. I need real horsepower. And then you helped me end up on the Fire TV Cube, which has worked out great. It's been fantastic with the A word on there. With the Amazon device word.
The Amazon voice assistant. Yeah.
There you go. But should I give up my anti-stick bias?
I'm not dogmatic when it comes to sticks. Sticks are for a particular use case, which is, I think I'm going to keep this television for a long time. And I'm not going to use the operating system on that television. So I don't want to spend a lot of money on a bunch of boxes over the years. I just need the same thing I would get inside the TV. I think sticks are great for that. If you're someone who says, you know what, I want a little more out of this. I want to be able to do more with it. I don't want to just watch apps, and I get frustrated if it gets a little slow. Then yeah, getting a full-on so-called set-top box, even though they don't go anywhere near the top of a set anymore. I think those are more for someone who wants more out of it than the stick can give, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds' soccer team, Wrexham United, has risen to the next league up in British soccer and is only 1 away from the Premier League. Wrexham was a non-league team when they bought the team. So they weren't even in one of the leagues. They had to get into the league, and they have climbed up now to the second to last league. If they were to win the Championship League next year when they begin playing in it, they would go to the Premier League. There are other ways to get in the Premier. I think it's not just winning, but yeah, they could get elevated. There's a lot of debate on whether that's even possible at this point, but a lot of people didn't think they'd get this far. And if you're like, why do we care on Cordkillers? This is the team that is documented in the Wrexham series on FX/Hulu, and it has been working. They've been able to improve the fortunes of this team.
Yeah, there's a bit of a chicken and the egg thing there, right? Where it's like, pick any team that's at the low end of the spectrum, and then suddenly infuse it with a bit of cash backing, a massive amount of attention, and then that's going to rise the goodwill, the home team enthusiasm.
You get a worldwide interest, people buying merch that would never buy merch. That infuses more cash. And
players summon the discipline to perform better because, again, like we just talked about, everyone wants to be the hero of their own Campbellian monomyth. And so weirdly, that sounds almost suspicious, but instead I think it just makes the most sense.
Well, it's going to make good viewing, right? To see if they can keep this up. So the cycle continues because now that they've had this success and they're in the Championship League, the question is, can they make it in the Premier League? And people are going to watch the series. They'll know whether they made it or not, but they'll watch the series like, how did they do it? What did they do? Why did they fall short? Why did they succeed? Whatever happens. So I think that's good for the series. The things I have read is that to get into the Premier League, the reason a lot of the Premier League teams have billionaire owners is because you have to be willing to lose billions of dollars in order to do it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull it off, but that makes for good TV. Finally, this is a little weird one. Apple launched a page with a carousel of celebrities that can tell you where to find their work on Apple services like TV, music, podcasts, etc. It doesn't have a search functionality, so you just kind of have to wait for someone you're interested in to float by. if you want
Can I-
to
can
actually
I-
use it.
Can I give you my magician brain take on this?
Yeah, sure.
Here's the hidden value of it. A/B testing. There is almost certainly an increasingly efficient marketplace where agents, like every agent wants to know the demonstrable value of their talent. And by having this ticker go by and by seeing their click, they're not talking about it. It's straight up a contest though. It is based on how many clicks they get. That's how much money the talent is going to get, because it is a tangible marker.
Yeah, I don't know. Apple isn't making a big deal about this, so maybe it's not ready to be launched. I don't know how many people are going to use it. Like, how much data do you get out of it if people don't use it? Because
this is one of those Heisenberg uncertainty principle things. This is why you don't say anything about it, because now the data becomes polluted the moment you even hint. Like, think about it. Like, let's say you take out billboards announcing, everyone go check this out. Well, then all that's going to prove to you is that the people who like billboards and pay attention to billboards are the type, like, that doesn't tell you the star's true worth. Likewise, same thing if you tell everyone about it in a press release.
But isn't that true of, like, right now, it only tells you the people who listen to us tell you that this exists or read about it on a blog? Like, it's still selective.
Yes, correct. But it is organically selective because they want the data for themselves. Like they've
It's not representative, though.
It's you want it as close to, like, for example, the mere fact that we were talking about this class and I ain't advertised it outside of the email list, right? That is by design, because the type of people we want are the type of people who organically would find it out. And yes, there'll be a bias that they're here listening to Cordkillers, but that's the way we want it, so that we get the relational.
I don't think
people,
this
not
is
the
a good
transactional
test
one.
of that. I don't think this is going to tell you the things that you seem to think people would want to do this to get out of it.
Well, the people, the people are just going to hear about it and stumble across it and maybe click or maybe not. But keep in mind that to get statistically significant data nationwide down to, like, I don't know, however many decimal places, you only need a sample size of 1,200. So if 1,200...
Yeah, but you need a well-constructed sample, right? This could end up being a very distorted sample.
It is if they guide people to it, because the way they guide them to it will affect it.
You're guided to it no matter how you get to it, right? Like, it's going to have a selection bias no matter how people get to it.
Yes, which is why you want to minimize it by not talking about it.
But
you leave that to wait.
But we're talking about it, so now
Correct.
we're guiding people, and you're going to have a biased sample of these kinds of people versus a biased sample of a different kind of people.
Yes,
like,
but
it's a biased sample no matter how you do it. No, it didn't.
No. We within our content. Oh, this is too galaxy brain. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Cordkillers@gmail.com. If you get what I'm saying.
No, I totally get what you're saying. It's just, to me, it's like, well, you get a different bias if you organically have people stumble across it, but it's in TechCrunch, it's in The Verge, so it is a selection bias of a sort.
Right. So if you wanted it to be as close to a natural experience as you could get, you would not expend any resources. You would just do a standard press release, and whoever are the types of news outlets that would cover this would cover it, and then the word would get out. And so at least you would know it. Like, it happened outside of Apple's or the Star's hands. Whatever happened. And yeah, there are biases, but they're not caused by either the Stars or the Stars agents or Apple.
I also don't think it's terribly useful. So I'm not sure who's going to, when they stumble across it, if they go to it, who's going to use it. Because again, you have to sit here and wait for someone you're interested in to parade across the screen. Then when you click on Matt Damon's profile, it's going to tell you, here's some Apple TV stuff. Here's some podcasts he was on. And it's not always representative. Like, when I think of Matt Damon, I don't immediately think of The Instigators as the first one, but it's in Apple TV's interest to show you The Instigators, so they show you that.
Yes, but also just the mere fact that you browsed in that way becomes a valuable point. Just a pixel, just a little bit of data.
But
Because
do you
you
think
picked-
enough?
you
Do you
picked
need-
him-
But yeah, but my point is, like, do you think people are going to come to this page and go, sure, yeah, I'd love to interact with this?
No, I
Yeah,
think
I don't
in
think so.
general people are going to gawk at the curiosity, but the mere, let's say you get 10,000 people to gawk and 1,000 click. Congrats, you now have a representative sample of each celebrity's
It's not
brand
a
value.
representative sample. That is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
issue that
Yeah,
I take,
okay.
because you don't know where these people are coming from. Like you have to control for that sort of thing for it to be representative, don't you?
Yes, but also you have the data because they've been pixeled, either Facebook pixeled or any of the other
You
tracking.
can construct a representative sample if you get that kind of data.
Yes.
Except Apple
You would
doesn't
have to
track.
do.
Apple famously doesn't track. That's their whole
Yes.
privacy protecting thing. So if they were using a
be
pixel to track
curious-
you on this, that would also be a story.
Right, but they may know a company that they could broker and purchase some data from.
But no, but that's what Apple says they don't do.
yeah,
Like they
yeah,
make
okay.
they make a brand out of saying they don't do that exact thing. So if they were doing
well,
that,
in that
that'd be
case,
interesting.
you would want to set up organic experiments like this. I mean, there are weird things that I've done just to find out obliquely who listens to what kind of things. Like
Yeah.
when it came time to cull my email list, the open rates were too small, and I was paying money for that. I said, "Hello, here's a picture of a dog." First of all, I targeted anybody who hadn't opened the last 10 emails, and I said, "I'm going to remove you from the list unless you click on this picture of a dog." And then just the act of clicking on it, that's all it took. Now, in that case, I stated my goal and everything, but there's a number of experiments that you could do that only obliquely cause interest to be revealed.
Yeah. There would be data. There would be interesting and useful data out of this. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, I guess that's we got too far into the specifics.
yeah,
My
yeah.
general point is this is being done for the data, not as an actual benefit to the audience, and not because it's useful.
And that does feel like the most reasonable explanation for this, because otherwise I just don't. I don't see what it gets Apple, other than I guess maybe showing you like, hey, when you think of Apple, think of all these people. We're not just the place where you buy an iPhone. We're the place that has all the entertainment. And Apple really, as they pivot to services, want that brand. So I think that's a secondary effect of that too.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the cheddar.
Got mail.
Our first emailer says, just finished listening to the retcon segment of the last show, and it reminded me of Pixar's short Knick-Knack. It premiered at the 1989 SIGGRAPH Graphics Conference when it was re-released in 2003, playing ahead of Finding Nemo, and later in 2006 as part of a Pixar short film collection. It was evident that they didn't just clean up the old video, they also made some cosmetic changes to some of the character models. This is the version that now lives in the Disney Plus catalog. To this day...
audio listeners, basically, the side-by-side, one had peak endowed Barbie-esque figure. The other is a more reasonable human, feminine figure.
And this is the version that now lives in the Disney Plus catalog. To this day, the only official releases of the original was on VHS as a part of the Tiny Toy Stories collection in 1996. It doesn't materially change the short, but I used to be annoyed about this because the whole thing seemed Steven Spielberg removing guns from E.T. stupid. The decades have, however, softened my stance, and the original is preserved on the likes of YouTube and archive.org, so nothing has been lost.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty good example of like, oh yeah, there's lots of examples of people changing things and making that the official version, but the original versions stick around more often than not.
Well, and in that environment, I mean, SIGGRAPH is in 1989, it was a big deal to even make anything vaguely human-esque animated. And I would imagine that you would need to have cartoonish proportions to clearly indicate to, these tech-centric audiences, hey, you can do character things with this. And then later, as, things become more nuanced, you would be all like, okay, we no longer need to cartoonize every aspect of the human body. And so you dial that back.
Yeah, because I think you have a whole different set of intentionality when making something for SIGGRAPH in 1989 than you do when you're like, we're going to put this in wide release in front of one of our most popular films, right? You're considering an entirely different audience there. Finally, Rob wrote, you guys need to discuss this, and linked to a YouTube video that I hope Brian watched because I haven't had
sure
a chance to.
Thank you very much, Rob, for putting the time code in there. It took me right to the important part. It was Red Letter Media discussing the news item of Megan. I think that's the horror franchise about the doll robot thingy that they actually are going to have during the theatrical release a second screen chatbot experience. So
that's cool.
whereas pulling out your cell phone was the kind of thing that was so verboten that it would get you yelled at in viral videos from the Alamo Drafthouse, instead that'll be part of the explicit enhanced experience that you get in the movie theater. And the Red Letter Media fellows speculate that this is not artistically driven, but somebody in marketing said, you know, what would be hot is let's try to make the new chicken jockey experience out of it. Which, yeah, I think that tracks. That sounds right.
Yeah. It might have the effect of making it so that, you know, people are less likely to use their phones for other things because they'll be engaged in this experience. Or the opposite effect, if the experience isn't very engaging, people will just start browsing things on their phone during the movie. So it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, in general, I find that asking people to do anything during a movie, just asking people to do anything, you're going to lose 80%. 80% don't click on the email. 80% of those people don't click on the link. Like during the movie, I mean, first of all, I guess narratively they could mention 3 times the URL, like, or show a QR code on the screen. Like, I mean, look at that QR code. What a mystery. I wonder. And then, you know, kind of like a theme park ride where it's like, I hope nobody just pulls out their phone. Anybody who sees this QR code could be led to the murder chat bot. And then somebody believing, you know, like at a good theme park ride, you're like that you're the protagonist, or a good video game. You're like, oh, I just had the idea to pull out my phone. Did you know there's a whole mystery? Which I kind of want to poo-poo, but also that was fundamentally why I loved the movie Donnie Darko, is because I went to the website and I was like, whoa, I don't know what this movie is, but they got a whole thing happening on the website and ARG. Then I went and saw the movie. I'm like, man, I got a lot of questions. And then I spent hours and hours going through the website that I hope somebody got a video of what that experience was like. It was extraordinary.
Well, that's why it's a little easy to poo-poo this because it's a chatbot. And for a lot of people, chatbot equals trash. Like they've just decided like, well, chatbots, all they do is hallucinate and waste your time. And, you know, we could have a whole separate argument about that, but that is a lot of people's perception. And so they look at this as like, oh, this is some dumb marketing person who thinks chatbots are hot, but chatbots are dumb. We all know that. And the fact is, yeah, it could be a marketing thing, but it also could be a really good chatbot. There are chatbots that can be trained and you know, narrowly applied in ways that are really interesting. And especially if this chatbot is pretending to be a chatbot and not pretending to be a person, that could be more interesting as well. So again, to me, it's all in the execution. It could be executed very poorly and it could be executed very well.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for Cordkillers. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address, send us those emails we asked, cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.